G'day team, welcome to another episode of Property Deals and Dumb Decisions. The wins, the wipeouts and the lessons in between. You got your co-hosts Heath and Simon here. Welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, you missed out on the first episode. If you are joining us again, welcome aboard. Simon, what are we chatting about?
Man, I'm sitting in this chair and I want to. There's a lot I want to talk about, but let's just frame it as selling agents and buying agents and the unique relationship that needs to survive or that needs that ecosystem to survive.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
The good and the bad.
Mate,
right? There's plenty of good and there's plenty of bad.
Do you know what I was just thinking then when you said there's so much I've got to discuss? You know them monkeys that... Yeah, that's what I was thinking is in your head. Just rolling around.
I'm just it sits on me and it's relevant for me and there's just so much to uncover. So let's jump into it straight away.
Yep.
The biggest question we've been asked over the last 6 years actually is, what is a buyer's agent?
So there's been a lot of education.
So I guess this is a way to introduce it is when we created the business, it wasn't I wasn't the brain trust. I know, hard to believe. It was
brain
him.
Trust.
It's him. Yeah, okay. That's a topic for another conversation. We'll do that off air. But, okay, so he came up to me 7 years ago and he's like, mate, it's just so unfair the way selling agents deal with buyers, by and large, not every selling agent, but by and large, the way that buyers they just get a really rough deal. It sucks. I think that there should be some sort of business where we could look after the buyer and we'd have the best buyer's interest. And I'm like, what? You mean like a buyer's agent? And his little bottom lip hit the ground. What are you talking about? That exists. I go, yeah, that's what it is. So a buyer's agent is there to legally represent the buyer, to make sure that we stop you from making any dumb decisions and to protect your interest throughout the negotiation process when acquiring your property. A selling agent is the exact opposite. They are there to legally do the best job for the seller. All right? As long as what they're doing isn't illegal and what the sellers are asking them to do isn't illegal. And that's for us as well on the buy side, right? So both real estate agents, one represents the seller, one represents the buyer. Now, when you have this relationships and people are asking us where the value of having a buyer's agent is, I use a dramatic analogy, but I think it hits home real quick. I don't know of anything on this earth where people look to spend six figures, forget seven, just look to spend six figures, 100 grand, 150 grand, 200 grand without some form of representation. The property game's $1 million game, $1 billion game for some people. Let's just keep it simple, call it $1 million game. You're about to go and spend seven figures and you're going to get representation from the selling agent.
The person that's legally
representing the other party. There is conflict straight away. There is conflict straight away. But essentially what you're doing is you're going to court and you're asking the prosecuting lawyer to represent you. Now, of course, the prosecuting lawyer is going to be nice. They're going to be fantastic because they are going to blow you out of the water. They're going to tell you all the lovely things. They're going to get all the leverage, which is the information. Then they're going to use it against you on the back end because that's what a good selling agent should do because they're there to get the best price for the seller.
Correct. Right? And we don't hate that. I
love that. I respect
we understand
that. We've done it. I started my journey selling. I was a walking, talking, what's his name? McGrath. Tim McGrath? McGrath Real Estate. Like, he was everywhere. I had his audios and everything.
Probably had a bobblehead of him.
Well, I probably had cassette. I probably had tape cassette when I started.
It was.
But so nothing against it, right? But that's the differences between selling agent and buying agent. Now, the relationships between a selling agent and a buying agent, super, super important.
It is, and people ask us why would they want to work with us and why would we want to work with them?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And then people, but if you've got good relationship with a selling agent, like, doesn't that mean maybe you're trying to do something
under the table, conflict of interest?
No, what does a good deal look like? Like, you got to understand, put yourself in the selling agent shoes first. If a selling agent is able to sell a property for a price that their seller wants before going to market, and they get to deal with a company that has the best reputation, and check us out. It's not me, blowing smoke up my own bum. Check us out.
So now you don't want to swear,
right?
Okay.
Is that what you want? Right? And for me, the representation and the relationships we have is what actually gets us over the line a lot of the time.
Far outweighs all the time, even if it is on market.
Right? Because in this market right now, it's moving so fast. Even as a buying agent, and we buy more properties in WA than anyone else. All right, it's what we do every single day of the week. But when we go and buy a property, the relationships that we have will give us so much more information and knowledge than what anyone else out there would have. So in a market that's moving north, right,
Yep.
you go to the open home. At an open home, and I'm there, I'm representing you as a client, there's 40 other people there, it's a shit show. It's a tough fight, right? And if I have no relationship with that real estate agent, then we've got to bank on our knowledge and our skills of the other properties we've inspected, the location of this one, what was recently sold,
All
where
the back end
interest,
information.
everything.
Yep.
And we're
Yep.
really, really good at that. Right, but no matter how good we are at that, nothing will beat a relationship where you can actually get the information from the selling agent that you need, or you can get information and access to a property before it even gets to market.
Yeah, huge one. And it's, you are right, on market, off market. It's obviously the golden nugget is off market property, but even on market. You know, I went to a property the other day in Les Murdy. I didn't know the selling agents. I'm not going to name drop, blah, blah, blah.
No.
But I walked in and I did name drop someone that we're close with.
Yep.
And I said, oh, you know, I've never dealt with you guys. I've dealt with your whole office, Abby, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to mention it because it's, you know, might get out there. But I've dealt with blah, blah, blah.
He'll
blah.
keep talking and he'll mention it sooner.
And they go, oh, you've dealt with such and such. I'm like, yeah, of course I have. I could call you up right now. And they're like, and their demeanor changed from, who are you? You're just another buyer,
Yep.
to,
Oh, hang
tell
on
us
a minute.
more. Like, welcome to our home open. Oh, you know, if we can do anything for you, let me. So again, it was based on nothing to do with reputation. Obviously, reputation is a secondary part of that, but it come down to knowing the principle of the agency, name dropping another couple of agents, name dropping the PA in the agency, and bang. I'm not saying the walls were down. I'm just saying they were very
an opportunity. The
much
door was
more
open. The walls
receptive.
might not have been down, but the door was open.
Correct. They were
Maybe the
much-
window was half open.
Yeah,
But
see
it's
what you
giving
did
us
there,
another
yeah.
opportunity.
Innuendo into property, yeah. It gave us an in where it's like, okay, whatever I can help you with. Yeah, actually, I've got something coming up. I don't even know these agents, never dealt with these agents, and they opened up an opportunity where they're like, actually, we've got something coming up off market because I name dropped.
Yep. So there, it's the relationships, right?
is.
So we were asked this question. It was only yesterday. You know, how do you guys get the best deals? How have you guys been able to create such an amazing track record? You know, is it through your strong negotiation skills, or is it the way that you're able to put in certain terms and conditions?
What's everything?
And I said, look, it has a lot to do with that, but it also remove the ego, right? The thing that you hear the most from a selling agent or a buying agent, the most is, I'm the best negotiator. I'm the greatest negotiator. Let me tell you how great I am
on
at
what scale?
negotiating.
On,
right?
on what reference point?
For me, and hey, I'm not telling you I'm the best negotiator. I'll let my results and you decide whether you think I'm a good negotiator. But what I will say, what I've learned, my experience, my life experience with the negotiation, and negotiation revolves all around one thing: leverage.
Oh, I was going to say
Right.
it. I didn't want to say it just in case you weren't using that word.
Yeah, but like if you don't have leverage, you got nothing to negotiate. You
Yeah.
don't know the whys, you don't know the whats. Now, in a market that is moving like that, when you're competing against anywhere from 3 to 10 buyers at the same time in terms of offers presented on the property, how is you being egotistical or I'm the best negotiator and I'm going to pay this price and it's not worth anything more and I'm going to put this term and I'm going to put that condition in? The agent will write it up, but they will put you to the bottom of the pile because they'll go, I don't want to deal with that arrogant dick.
You know,
I've got 9 other people that I can deal with, and I've got 9 other people, and I've probably already got 5 other people that are higher than you. So you keep being right, keep being arrogant, you ain't getting a deal done.
I'll give you an exact example of exactly that. You're talking about arrogance, egotistical. We throw it out the window. All of us is based on knowledge, expertise, data driven. We just bought a property. It's under offer right now. I'm not even going to mention the suburb, I'm not going to mention anything about that.
I was really hoping if I kept talking, he'd just open up and say something.
I'm not saying.
I'm going to say some shit later.
I don't want to put anyone into hot water. But we bought a property under offer right now. We paid $990,000 for it. You know the one I'm talking about. We were against another buyer's agent, so they have all the same data, all the same.
Not everything the same.
Yeah, data. They're data driven. They should
know
have
how
all
much
their.
they should pay for the property.
Yeah, well, they should know all of that.
Yeah.
We beat them. And we beat them because they were arrogant, egotistical, and they basically, we've got the relationship as well.
That was it.
It is, but outside
But the
that,
reason why we have the relationship is because they are arrogant and they're egotistical and the rest of it.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to them or us,
So I know that
they
other
go,
buyer's agent.
Please.
I know that other buyer's agent, local to Perth as well, turned around and said, this property doesn't sit above X amount.
Yeah.
And the selling agent's like, okay, no worries. That's fine. You can think that. And I was like, if I can get this under $1 million, we've done a deal. We got it for 990, and I'll tell you, the other buyer's agent was absolutely spewing.
I know the way he reacts when he misses out.
Yeah, and he come out, why didn't you tell me? I could have paid that. I told my clients to pay more, and the agent's like, well, like the selling agent's like, mate, I told
Literally
you where, you know, I
told you
where it
there
needed
was
to be.
someone
and-
else interested and you didn't
Yeah,
listen. You didn't listen until I told you didn't have it, and then you're
Correct.
throwing all your toys out the cot.
Yep,
Right?
yep.
And that's hilarious. And the other thing about that deal at 990 is we already knew it was worth $1 million.
Yeah.
Because there was a property literally
We won
350
the
square
deal.
metres. But even let's just say the property was worth 980,
Yeah.
and we paid 990 for it. I still think there's a fair and reasonable argument that we still would have won the deal, paying 10 grand more and securing the property with the low supply and the way properties are growing. Right?
Yeah, I mean, in this market, of course.
But
yeah.
so that was the big one, right? It is relationships. Now, I've been in and around the industry for 30 years. You've been in and around the industry for like 20 years.
18, yeah.
18, right?
Don't give me too
the
much credit.
relationships that I've been able to build through real estate here in Perth, Brisbane, and New South Wales is what's actually given me the longevity in my industry.
Burn a few bridges as well, I assume.
Look, I'm not perfect, and I if I disagree, I'll let you know I disagree. And yeah, we have burnt bridges, but the most important thing is to really enhance and nurture the relationships
Of course,
with other people that you respect.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That you have faith in, that you know operate in a similar manner to you, good ethics, good morals, call a spade a spade. And that's what we've harnessed over the years. Then we have all I guess the accolades, the purchases, the rewards, the clients, the testimonials. We have all of
Everything
that,
comes
right?
later. Yeah.
Everything comes later. Everything for us came from a burning desire
To help.
to help. And
But
it
help people that weren't represented.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To help people that were, and it sounds super corny when you're saying it, and we didn't even know if there'd be a market for it. But what we found out was there
is
was an
none. There is
overwhelming
one,
need
yeah.
for people to want that good old fashioned service, to know that they're not just a number, to know that you care. Like, I mean, I got text message. I don't have my phone in there, but one of our clients last night, I'm trying to get this deal done up until 10 o'clock at night, and she's like, Simon, 2 questions. First,
What are you doing still working?
Do you ever stop working? Right?
Yeah.
And 2, the real question. And I think it was something to do with connectivity with the electricity in the land or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what we give our clients. And I'm not trying to say, hey, we're heroes, but by only working with 50 clients a year each, we're able to give more of ourselves to our clients. And by embracing modern technology, it's allowed us to create this amazing little concept where we work with 50 people a year, we service them, we embrace everything else, we've got the team and it works.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, so we've talked about enough about us and who we are.
Yeah. Right?
And the selling side of things now.
So now the selling side of things.
Yeah. What they were basically saying, why would we use you? Why do you give us an advantage?
Well, yes, but like when I look at the selling side of things, and we spoke about the
leverage.
relationships and the leverage and all that, that's great. But now let's talk about an actual selling agent and buying in this particular market. Because I'll tell you right now, as a selling agent, if you're a selling agent and you're telling me the process of the sale and you don't follow that process, I'm going to call you out on your ethics. I'll call you out straight away if you don't follow the process you tell me that you're going to do. Lots of agents have a set process. They're regimented. They know how to deal. They've got the certain scripts. I love that. I love dealing with a polished agent that is organized, that's good. I love trying to negotiate a deal where I know that agent is going to really, for lack of a better term, screw me out of every cent that we've got. I love that mutual respect. It's like playing a game of basketball or cricket or something, and you know the opponent's going to be good, but you thrive in that condition,
being better.
right? You thrive in that. And sometimes, damn it, that selling agent, he got the better of me by 5 grand. Oh, yes, we got the better of her by 10 grand, right? But it's done in a respectful manner, and you actually love transacting, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's a time. There's one time I remember in the last 5 years when I'm really like, they screwed us there to every cent. And that was Marangaroo. Again, we won't mention what it was, but we paid 1.3-ish.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like, it really put the screws on us. But outside that, I don't feel like in today's market.
I was respectful of that. I was like, damn it. And the only reason we got the deal is because I knew the principal in the end.
Yeah.
Right. So
he banged us so hard.
He did a great job. He did a great job. He did a great job.
He nailed us onto that cross.
100%. And then I can deal with that, right? But what I can't deal with is right now as a buyer, if you're out there and you're looking to buy, you got 7 open homes lined up for the day. You go to the 7 open homes, and I don't care what level you're at, whether you're a first home buyer, a seasoned investor, or you're buying your 4th home. I don't care what stage you're at in your buying journey, because it's about what you're going to face in the marketplace. You go to these 7 opens, you deal with 7 different agents.
Yep.
Every single agent will have a different process.
Yep.
Now, some of the agents are going to tell you a process and follow it. And some of the agents are going to tell you a process and not follow it. And some of the agents are going to tell you a process and you'll be calling them up the next day to say, what's the process? Because it's not happening, right? But the thing I've got a lot of disdain for at the moment is the fact that as that buyer, you go to 7 opens and if you're buying and you're not using a buyer's agent, like ask the agent what the offer and acceptance process is. After the open home, what are you going to do? Are you going to write expressions of interest up? Are you going to write formal contracts up? When are you going to present the offers? How are you going to present the offers? If I make an offer today, I want it presented in 24 hours. Or no, ask these questions. And the agent will say, hey, look, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the process that we're running, this is an end date sale. The end date is on the 24th of April.
We're not going to take anything to the sellers until then.
We're not going to take anything to the sellers until
then. Or we're not going to accept an offer before then.
Let's say, and the owner reserves the right to sell prior to, but given the interest and given the way that the market is, we're encouraging that the owner sees this campaign through. You can present your offer now, or you can hold your offer until closer to the end date. But again, just letting you know, the owner does reserve the right to accept any offer prior to the end date. Now, when they've given you that one, the next best thing you can possibly say is great. So because you're telling me that the owner would take an offer or would be open to taking an offer prior to the end date, where do you see that price sitting? Try and get something out of an agent, right? Yep. But now you've been given a process. The agent's told you how it's going to run. Now, okay, so the next day happens and we say, yep, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we're going to make that offer. So they put in the offer. They know the end date's for another 2 weeks. Agent keeps calling them up. And then it gets to the last day, and that's generally where they run the Dutch auction. And this is where I get hung up on the process. If the selling agent says to you that they'll present all offers on that date, and they will give you a call prior to seeing the seller to make sure that that's your final offer, I'm still okay with all this, right?
Because they've let you know.
I've been told a process.
Yep.
But what is happening in the marketplace is that selling agent is ringing you up at 9:30 in the morning going, oh, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, look, I'm just letting you know you're really, really, really close. You sure you can't give us anything more? You want to give us a little bit more to put this in your favor? Oh, yep, okay, I'll give you 1.74. And then 3 hours later, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, look, I really, really want you to get this property, but, do you have any more? And it's like, well, I thought the process was I put the offer in and then you asked me one time for the rest. How many times are you going back and forth?
Sounds like you've had a recent experience.
Right? Yeah. So we keep circling the wagons. And then another 3 hours later, they call and they ask again. And then another 3 hours, they call and they ask again. And then they go and sit with the seller. I got a problem with that because that's not what you said the process would be. If you say something is going to work a certain way, it is your responsibility to see that through. And I will argue this to the cows come home with any selling agent that wants to challenge me on it. And I just live in a real simple world. Say what you mean what you say.
Yep.
So that really, really upsets me at the moment with the way that some things are being handled. The other thing
is like having end date sale and everything.
Well, or the price.
Or offers.
Or when no. When we spoke about it before, when they do the price, they know that the value of the property is $900,000.
Yeah.
And they go offers over $759,000.
Oh yeah. So now we're talking about reality versus what you see online.
Now I know that's illegal.
Yeah.
But because the markets are so busy, no one's got the time to.
Well, not even that. Hey, I thought it was worth $750,000, but it ended up going $900,000. Like I can't control the market.
No, cool. Show us what you got on the listing form.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the difference, right? Yeah, that's the difference. That's where the legality comes into play. But I see it all the time with clients. So like, oh, what about this property? I'm like, it's going to sell 100 grand more. Oh yeah, but it says 750. It says 850. Whatever it says on the thing. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm in the market. I know right now 3x1s in Morley, half block, with nothing done, are selling anywhere from around 800. I know that with a little bit done, they're selling for 850. I know with a little bit more done, almost a full reno, they're going for 900. So I know that, but the last sale was 750. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I understand. But this is exactly...
In another 3 weeks' time, you're going to see...
Yeah. In 6 weeks' time when it's settled, you'll see that property just sold for 850 or that property sold for X. So, we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. And it's just a case of...
And that can hinder a buyer's...
the process of us.
Yeah, totally. But I get it. I put myself in the buyer's shoes.
Yeah, I see it. Why are you trying to charge me an extra 50 grand?
This, but hey, I'm doing this. Or like a buyer says, well, this is what I want in the brief. Look, I'll show you something on realestate.com. Now, most of these buyers, we're talking about interstate buyers because every state operates slightly different, But, New South Wales and Victorian buyers look at the way we're selling property over here, and it's like, shit, it's the Wild West. Like, you got a one-page contract. There's really no terms and conditions. There's no cooling off period. There's no lawyers involved. It's like, what the hell's happening here? So, a lot of people think, oh, all the people from over east are stealing our properties. They're paying more money. They have a better understanding of real estate and transactions. Make no mistake about it. And don't get dirty at them because they've got a better understanding. Get better. Right? Get better. Don't play the victim. Don't sit there going, wow, poor, but get better. Get in the market. But when you take it back to that relationship and the trust with the buyer, of course the buyer's going to say, Simon, what are you talking about? I've got to offer 900,000. It's saying from 750.
Yeah.
Are you freaking crazy? I paying you because I thought you were going to save me money. And now you want me to pay 150, so they don't buy that. They miss out on it, and then it sells for the 900, and they're going, oh, shit, it is 900.
Yeah.
But now the market's moved again.
Yeah, now it's 930.
And it's like, oh, how do we miss it? And then they've got to change a brief, or they've got to change a suburb.
And that's okay. I mean, when I talk to clients, I always try and prove, hey, you know what? This is what's on the market. This was what's just sold. There's points why we believe this is the case. So, it's our job to have a relationship, have trust, be involved, communicate, and tell them why we think that way. Yep. So, saving money doesn't mean you come second all the time. If you come second all the time, you never get a property. Exactly I can make you come second all the time if you want, but the reality is you want to win. Yeah, of course I want to win. We want to win by $2,000, by $1,000, by $5,000, whatever it may be. We need to win that property, because if you come second all the time, you're not getting a property. Your opportunity cost is if you're buying 3 months, if it takes us 3 months to find you that property because you don't quite believe what we're telling you, you're going to cost yourself money. It's not me. And you're going to pay that $930, not the $900. Regardless of what it says on realestate.com.au.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's a bit involved in that, and that's what that end date sale. And it's not even that, putting your best foot forward. You go into 7 properties. Oh, put your best foot forward. Okay.
What does that mean?
Okay, dingo. What's your best foot? Where's the guiding price? What is a best foot?
Oh, there's no guiding price.
Well, there's no guiding, mate, dickhead. Yes, there is. You've done a listing agreement, and that listing agreement clearly states where you see the range on the property. And why does it state that? Because you've had it. Firstly, you're meant to be the selling professional. Yep. Based on data, based on your local knowledge. You go back into an appraisal, you have a chat to the seller and say, well, I think it sits between here and here. Well, the seller wants $1 million all the time for a $2 chicken nugget. But
I love your extreme analogies.
Yeah, that's me.
Comparing a house to a chicken nugget, okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
But and then there's a price where you come to where it's like that is the range.
Yep.
So listing agent, I know you don't have to tell me legally where you listed it at, but you do know a guiding price.
Exactly.
So don't be fooled by thinking that.
I've got no idea.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to end up.
It's funny because I hear someone say that, and I go, well, why did the seller even give the agent a listing? They could have just done it themselves, done the open home, and said,
and just put when people come through. I don't know.
Just put your best foot forward.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, we talk about this a lot because I love the psychology, right? You freaking just flat out blatantly hate it. I love it. From a selling perspective, I love an end date sale. I love the Dutch auctions, and let me tell you, if I was selling, I would be rounding up the wagons, and I would screw you out of every single cent that I possibly could. But I would do it in an honest and transparent manner.
Yeah.
When you said, what is the process? Exactly. When you say, what is the process? I'm going to tell you, this is the process. I got a truckload of people interested in this property. You can tell from the amount of people that are going through. I'm telling everyone to put their best foot forward. Everyone's saying, what the hell does my best foot forward mean? Well, there is 4 sheets of paper with the most recent sales. The property market is moving north, not south. So wherever the highest price sits on that paper, I can confidently say that it's going to be higher.
And I'm okay with that because you're giving a guide.
You're giving a guide, right?
Yeah, you're not saying, hey, put your best foot forward.
Or whatever. And then I'm saying, how am I going to handle the negotiation process once I get offers? I'm going to be going back and forth. We're going to get my sellers the absolute most. Now, you might start at 900,000, but if you've got 950, I'm going to get 950 out of you. And if I don't get 950 out of you, that's okay. You're probably not going to buy the property. You can do it in an arrogant way, you can do whatever, but as long as you tell the people what the process is going to be, and you do that, I've got no problems with it. And I love the psychology behind it.
Yeah, and I hate your kind of selling agent.
I know, and it's so funny.
And that's okay.
When we look at stuff, it's like, mate, you're not doing that. It's like, bro, I'm not getting into a conflict around price. And you go, it doesn't matter about conflict around price. That is the suburb, and that is, and we know what we're talking about. You ain't going to get any more. You can't get any more. I go, look, I don't care. Not getting into conflict with price. Now, I think about 45 minutes later, I rang you up and said, A, I gave you the wrong address, but B, you know what? Yeah, not getting into a conflict of price, but where you've priced it is where
yeah. I remember back in the day. Yeah, so you're the kind of selling agent I hate. And it's not because you're process driven. It's like, put your best foot forward and here's another four.
It's because I'm not going to give you
I've seen that, man. You don't think I've done my due diligence already? I know where the comparables are. I know what the under offers are, and you probably don't know where the under offers are because you're always competing against the next selling agent in the same suburb. So that's the upper hand that we have. I talk to multiple selling agents in the same suburb to find out where properties are actually sitting today, not 6 weeks ago. So I know where your comparables are, but give me that little edge. Like, man, I'm taking care of your buyer. So there's another reason.
But that's another reason why to use the buyer's agent, because we take a lot of the work away from the selling agent.
We do, and that's why I was just about to go into the selling agent loves to do deals with us, not based on the fact that we're screwing them down, because we're here to get the best thing for our client. Absolutely
100%.
no doubt in my
as they
mind. Correct, and I understand they are as well. I want to know where we get a deal done.
And the funny thing is, but you're asking this, right? If you're just a buyer, you don't. I will say this blanketly. There may be a few listeners out there saying, "Oh no, bullshit, Simon. I got the confidence and I do it." But as a buyer, very rarely will you go into an open home and start talking to a selling agent the way we do. You're just not going to have the confidence when they're telling you put your best foot forward. You're not going to say, "Oh my god, like what are you talking about? This is I want to see this. I want to see that." Like you sort of just. There's 40 other people there. You get shuffled into the home real quick. You don't really know what you're supposed to be looking at or what questions you're supposed to ask. And then you just get left with the fear of missing out thought process because you see 30 other people there and all of a sudden you don't care about putting your best foot forward. You just care about beating everybody else to the property. And that can work out really badly for you as well because...
Yeah, it's about questions you ask and then it can be as simple as, well, where do you see the price going?
Yeah.
How many offers have you got?
Yeah. I'm not giving you any of that, but just keep asking.
Yeah,
like
exactly. And that's
inevitably if you keep asking, an agent will do one of a few things.
Yeah, tell you to piss off?
Yes, look, get nicked. I've told you what it is. I've got other people to talk to.
Yeah.
Or another one is like, look, if you're north of 950,000, you're going to be in the right way.
Yeah.
Like they'll give you something. So don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to ask the same question 4 times. Like at the end of the day, your job is to buy the property. His job's to sell the property, or her job's to sell the property, and part of that will involve in some sort of transaction.
Here's a tip. You've got to be thereabouts in the price, but it's not always about the price. It's about the terms and conditions as well.
Yeah, and I was going to touch on that.
Yeah, so when you talk about, I've got
but when you talk about terms and
out.
conditions,
yeah,
there's only in this market, there's only 2 that I have any real faith in. One's cash, and the other one's how you're settling.
Speak again. I don't really understand what you're saying there.
Well, one's saying like, okay, it's not just the price; it's your terms and conditions, right? Okay, so your offer's 980 subject to finance, mine's 960K cash.
Oh yeah.
All right. So there's
that's a price thing. That's a terms and conditions thing. But also it's like instead of having pest and building, electrical, plumbing, and gas, good working order, and we'll touch on that as well about the wording of that and how you can come unstuck. But now I want to vacate clean, and I want a longer settlement, and I want my borrowing is at 95%.
Yep.
Now you've got all these terms and conditions, and you could take out half of them. Why? Because you're confident. Maybe you're not, but let's assume you're confident to say, yeah, I'm happy with the way that the property presents. I'm pretty risk-free about, is there going to be any electrical, plumbing and gas issues? But I must have pest and building in there. Now that is my absolute must. Unless it's on my client, I will say, guys, I really suggest you don't take anything without a pest and building. Unless you're doing a full reno or knockdown or something like that. And there's been times where their agents were like, hey, I'm in really good conversations, and they're like, hey, I'm selling it as is. When you talk about selling it as is, are you talking about like not having electrical, plumbing and gas in there? Oh, no, I'm talking about selling it as is, no pest and building. I'm like, mate, bullshit, I'm out. If you want me to put an offer, there is zero chance. I don't have x-ray vision.
And
I can't see behind the walls. It doesn't have
to be a condition. You can get it done prior to the condition.
You can, but I mean, there's other things like that. Like you're up against 4 people or no
100%.
people.
And then the agent's like, well, I don't want to give you access to do the pest and building because I've already got 3 other people that are going to take it as is.
Yeah, and I don't buy the property. That's cool. I'm happy to miss that. And that's not my call.
But we're talking about terms and conditions. So you're saying to not put that term and condition, that could give you an advantage to getting the property.
Yeah, depending on your terms and conditions.
But,
so taking out.
While you're saying that, you're also saying that if you're a client of yours, you'd never advise the client to not put in the building.
No way. Because I can't see behind the walls. I can't see, up into the ceiling.
Yep. Like you're really good, and it's what we do every day of the week. We know the signs to look for, but the reality is we have purchased homes where the signs to look for were all perfect. It wasn't until they got into the roof that you realised that there were some issues. Now, there weren't significant issues. And
No.
Funny thing about major structural defects is a lot of them just have issues to do with the beams that are like
they're
$400
not
to
strapped in,
$400 to $800 fixes.
Yeah,
But you
they
see
need a fish plate.
you see major structural defect and you freak the fuck out. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Buy side, sale side, you've got the selling agent, buying agent, working together with the selling agent. You're not getting too much around where the price sits, but you've got the information, you know where it sits, and now you're going to work on some conditions that are going to favour our buyer or give our buyer an advantage with getting the offer across the line with not necessarily having the most.
Well, that's what I touched on
not necessarily
before.
having the highest offer.
Yeah, and
that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. And if you talk about the relationships and the leverage, I always talk about before they're even a client. I'm like, I'm not against you. I'm with you. I'm on your team. But we as a team are against two types of people: the other buyers and the selling team.
Yep.
So yes, I have to work alongside the selling team, but make no mistake, I'm against them. Mm-hmm. So then they go, well, what leverage have you got? I'm like, well, against the general public, firstly, my experience, my reputation, my relationships, the data, everything I can get in the background. Can you get it? Absolutely. Do I have the most up-to-date data? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I know where to find in 2 seconds versus, it's going to take you 2 days? Absolutely.
Yep.
So that's an easy one. The other one, the only thing I lose out on there is if you're going to pay over and above, which I'm happy to miss out. That's not a win.
Yep.
It's a win if
some of the best deals we do are the ones we walk away from.
Yeah, that's a win that we lost it.
Yep.
So I'm happy with that. Now, we're against the selling agent to some degree, like I said before, because we need to win that property. We need to win it at the best terms and conditions, the best price that we can get it for in the current market. That doesn't mean I'm against them. I hate them and they're the villains. It's more around the fact that, as an example, we bought a property December. We settled it in January. And I go, okay, well, they've got the same data. They've got the same analytics. They've got the same report. They're a selling agent. So they should have the same level playing field as us.
Yep.
Wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong all the time, but in this particular case, there was a property that we were going to look at off market. We got told a price that we could buy it for, and I'll tell you, it was between $670,000 and $680,000. Now that thing's worth $750 right today, but between $670,000 and $680,000, we'll pay the overprice.
Yeah, because the overprice is still the underprice.
Correct. So why would we pay the overprice? Well, we didn't want to get into negotiation. We didn't want the fact to risk losing the property on $10,000 when we know we were getting $20,000 to $25,000 clip on that. Based on
when you say clip, not us, the client.
No, the client. Was just about to make that overnight.
Yep.
Why? Again, when I talk about having leverage over the selling team, I mean knowing a little bit more than them.
Yep. And the easiest way to do that is if you're dealing with a selling agent that doesn't sell too much in that suburb.
Correct.
So if you're a buyer out there, like look for that stuff.
So what actually happened here, and this is real time, what actually happened here was there was another property in the same area, very, very similar to the property we're going to buy. It was 15 square meters internally bigger.
Yep.
And I called up the selling agent of that one, who we also knew.
Yep.
I said, "Hey X, what's this property under offer for?" Because it wasn't sold, so no one in the world knew what this sold for. So I called him and said, "Hey, what's it under offer for?" He goes, "Oh, it's $720,000. It was some change after that. It was a weird number." So we knew 720 minus your 15 square meters.
Wasn't our land bigger though?
No, just the internals.
Oh, okay.
So we ascertained that it was about a $15,000 to $20,000 discrepancy.
Yeah.
So we were going to get this property for $680. Happy to pay $680. We've made our client based on our numbers. We put the property price at $700 to $705. We bought it for $680.
Yeah.
So overnight, and that was overnight, signing contracts. We made him $20,000 to $25,000. That was settled in January. It's now April.
Yeah.
That thing's worth $750.
Yeah. And for me, like I always have, I still think there's an equal and fair argument that the property that went for $720 that was 15 square meters bigger set the new foundation, and then therefore our property is actually probably going to be worth $720. Like you're conservative with the thing, but I think there's a fair argument with that because we know that once that property sells, the next one that comes on doesn't sell for the same price.
Absolutely.
Sells for more.
Absolutely. And if you're if you're really, really.
But will
I
you
guess,
touch on something really good? Because so many people don't go off square metre rate.
I know. And I was just about to say, and if you're really touching the point on square metre rather than feel, then it makes a difference because your construction is different. Everything's different.
It's so funny. Sometimes you look at a comparative market analysis and like it's like, okay, the house is a 4x2, so there's 10 other 4x2s in there. Except this house is a 4x2 with 800 square meters of land and 200 square meters internal build, and 7 of the 10 that you've shown me, 500 square meter blocks of land and 160 square meters internally.
Yeah.
Or the other way across, because you're trying to create value, right? So show a lesser property but show better properties. You need to have an understanding of where things sit. I mean, in certain suburbs, like Scarborough is a suburb. I love it, right?
I still don't get my head around
but
Scarborough. It's
the
so
way
crazy.
pricing works in Scarborough is insane.
I know.
It is insane.
One street back, you're 200 grand.
The difference between apartments, you can have so many similar things. The way the body corporates are run, the size of the apartments, the age of the apartments, like
price per square meter.
Price per square meter with
who
the fiction, the fitting.
Who built it?
There's so much that goes into Scarborough.
Who's
I really
developer?
see that as a suburb that when you're looking to buy in there, to really, really make sure you got some great representation.
I remember
because you can easily pay 50K more.
I know. I remember years back. I'm like, Simon, I need help. Scarborough's like too difficult, man. Like,
and hey, I remember still missing out on a 3-bedroom villa on Weapon-S that was on Scarborough.
Yeah.
Just think it's on the corner of a
Scarborough
roundabout.
or W?
Well, it was still Scarborough.
Yeah.
It was just on the boundary, right, between Scarborough and W. And I'm like, the freaking thing comes off a roundabout. Like, I would never live here. So like, I'm like, nobody would ever live here. But it was huge. And it had a big backyard. And I didn't take into the consideration that, you know what, some people are actually going to see great value. Yes, they don't want to live on a roundabout, but they're actually getting so much more in a villa.
Man, I'll give you an example right now. Literally went to a property on the weekend. It's in Beachborough. So the name on it is Beachborough.
Yep.
And technically it is Beachborough. You reminded me about the boundary.
Yeah.
It's technically Beachborough.
Yeah.
But literally 2 streets down is Morley.
Yeah.
And Morley is another 100, 200 grand.
Yep.
So my client's like, I don't want to go in Beachborough. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, no dramas. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, mate, he hasn't answered me yet. This was last night. I'm like, mate, we really need to look into this. It's 2 streets off being Morley. It's way out of Beachborough Central. It is priced at, like, right now, because I know the agent, I'm not going to say it. I know where it sits right now, and I know what we can buy it for right now. If I'm to buy that same property in Morley, it's going to cost me $1.1 million.
Yeah.
And I know this because I know what Morley's going for. The fact is, it's got a 5.5. I'm not going to keep going into it because by the time this goes out, it'll be sold. It's got a 5.5 meter side access with nothing to pull down. It's about 300 square meters at the back, zoned R35. You get where I'm going with this. If that thing was in Morley, it's 1.1.
Yep.
Might be a touch more.
Yep.
Based on it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
Yeah.
It's everything he wants, except it's got the name Beachborough in it. But you're 2 streets off. These are the kinds of things that you were talking about. Like, where's the value? Do you want to pay $100? He doesn't have $150,000 more, but I can get this thing for like $970, $960, something like that. Versus 1.1, which we're missing out on right now in Morley. So I'm like, man, you're crazy if you don't go for this. And that's the examples of knowing exactly what you're buying, where you're buying, how much you're buying, the square meters rate, and blah, 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 everything we talked about. So
that's just super important.
But some people are like, oh, Beachborough. I'm like, mate, it's Morley.
And that's the sort of level that we go into, right? Because like you're just an investor or you're a homeowner, you might get some data, you use RP data. You know, most people will start to suffer from analysis paralysis when they start digging into that rabbit hole. And I read one article, I read another. I think realistically, when you're engaging with representation on the buy side, you really should feel a lot less anxious, a lot more confident, and those 2 feelings alone will lead to a successful purchase. But then add on the experience, the knowledge, the relationships, the data, the reporting, all of that comes with the package of a good buyer's agent. Like, you're not going wrong. And people go, well, what is the cost of representation?
I was just about to go cost versus investment.
What is the cost of not having representation? Because you're getting held up, in my opinion, on the wrong thing between paying $20,000 and buying something for $1 million. So you want to save $20,000 but potentially cost yourself $100,000. Like that, you're killing yourself at the very start of your investment.
Well, there's that, man, and even after the investment, like I'm talking to people at the moment, they're like, oh, I've put it on hold for 12 months. I'm like, listen, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, guys, and I'm sure you're aware, but I'm going to point out anyway because this is who I am. You guys have cost yourself like 70 grand. So you back then were worried about paying our fee of X amount.
It's cost you 70 grand and
you've just cost yourself $70,000. Do you not see how crazy that is? Oh, yeah, I know.
No, just
don't do it again.
It is. And look, it's not about just trying to say, hey, you need to do it. It's just about really, like, you're about to spend $1 million. Have a really good understanding of where you're at in the marketplace. And look, to sit down with a buyer's agent for 45 minutes to come to the conclusion that you don't want one, fantastic. You've done a bit of due diligence and you came to the conclusion you don't need one. But to play $1 million game and not to sit down for 45 minutes with someone that deals in that space
is absurd.
It's freaking stupidity.
Yeah.
You just
Is that dumb decisions?
Yeah, that's a dumb decision. But it doesn't need to be us. You can be listening to this going, well, I'll talk to buyers. I'm not going to talk to these dickheads. Don't.
Yeah.
But talk to someone that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, don't talk to your dad that's bought a property and sold it 20 years ago.
And don't talk to loved ones because, look, at the end of the day, loved ones have one thing in common, and that is to protect you.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't want to give you any advice that could lead to you being upset or you getting a bad experience. So the easiest way to do that is to say don't do it or to create a bit of fear. But whatever it is in life that you want in your investing journey, my advice is to sit down with people that are in the know, that got the knowledge, got the reputation, got the runs on the boards, and then make up your own mind for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes down to the buying and the selling agent relationship, it's very unique. We have exceptional relationships with a lot of great real estate agents. We don't really have too many bad ones, but there's certainly a handful of selling agents that I know when we deal with them, I'll tell my buyers, guys, none of this process is going to go the way that he or she says it's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Get prepared for a crazy time. And in those circumstances, generally that's when I say to the client, you know what, like, it's going to be a bullshit experience. I want to cut through all the bullshit. I want to cut through the underpricing, the everything. This is the price that I think you should put forward and pay for the property. And if I've got the client's complete trust, they'll obviously do it. Yeah, if I don't, then they won't, because they'll get caught into the bullshit of the underquoting and they'll miss out on that property. And then when they miss out on that property, I've earned their trust.
Mate, there's also agents out there that are so arrogant up themselves that they think they're the best thing since sliced bread.
Well, that's just in life.
Yeah, I know that. And I just
like to take the piss a lot.
I do not like to deal with them.
No, but I think everyone has a certain amount of ego in real estate. Like we are super competitive. We both come from sporting backgrounds, and everything we do is a game of winning and losing. Like that's literally how we live our lives.
Yeah.
But not everyone is like that. But that's how we are. We approach everything as a win or a loss. And when we get smacked with a loss, our philosophy is like, what do we have to do to get 2 more wins?
Yeah.
Like it's always hustling. It's always fighting. And I think that's depending on who you talk to, persistence. It's our best or worst quality. But that's what makes us
the business that we've created, that we actually give a shit about 100%. Our client. Because like I said, I'm happy to walk away from a loss. If it means we're overpaying, or if it's a shit property, or whatever decision we make based on what we've got.
And then at the end of the day, like I said, the relationships and the way that you deal with a selling agent is super important. So whether we like the agent or we don't like the agent, it's not going to change our approach. It's not going to change our process, because at the end of the day, our number one job is to get our client the right property at the right price, so we do it for free. We've never had to do it for free. We never plan on doing it for free, because we execute on the first, right property, right price. That's what we stand for. We deliver on a promise. The relationships we've been able to create and nurture are incredible. We're still building that pipeline of relationships nationwide now. And it just comes down to the fact that, 90% of the time, if you're buying a property in Perth, we know the agent and we're going to have a significant advantage. And if you called me up and you were talking to any other number of buyers agents, I could give you a handful of examples of how we won and where we won, and I could almost guarantee it couldn't be done on the other foot. Now, maybe there's a little bit of arrogance in that statement, but the easiest way to find out is to put me to the test, because everything that's coming out of my mouth, I'm always prepared to back it up.
Yeah. So, listeners out there, if you're just listening to it for our face, you're probably doing the wrong thing. But if you are listening because you want to increase your portfolio, start your portfolio, or just want advice, come and book in a free discovery meeting with us. And see what we're about. So
100%.
Until next time,
happy
investing.